Yay, Media Group.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fitish podcast. We're changing things up in every way in our life. You notice the background's different. We're actually spending some time in Mexico City right now.
I think that's been the tendency, just changing things.
I promise y'all we're going to have a consistent studio space here at some point, but we at least get to show you the beauty of Mexico, which is very fitting considering our podcast has really turned into how to move abroad successfully and make a transition. We're actually going to be diving into a more structured series for this podcast at the recommendation of, producers and consultants and you, because y'all seem to have a lot of, thank you for putting your wet thumb on my mouth just now. It was soaking wet. I don't like mystery wet. Like, I don't know where the wet.
I licked it.
Oh,
You have like spice, like a michelada spice on your lip.
is it gone?
It's all gone.
So anyway, we're gonna, we go all over the place on a lot of these episodes about our move abroad, and there's been a lot of interest with a lot of specific questions. And I think Francisco and I, we were always hesitant in the past to dive in too much to one particular topic, but a lot of you have shown a lot of interest. So we're gonna try that. We're still gonna give you fun, entertaining relationship content sprinkled in, but we're gonna at least frame each episode around something specific as it pertains to our move. Hopefully we can offer y'all some informative, educational, and entertaining content while we do it. And no, the statue is not me. Someone commented on this statue. If you watch us on YouTube, I know a lot of you just listen in the car, but we are in Francisco's parents' backyard, his childhood backyard right now in Mexico City doing this episode today. And I love this statue. This naked woman carrying a fish on her shoulder.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right?
I remember the time that we bought it. I was like 4.
Really?
Yeah.
And you remember 4?
Yeah, I remember 4 perfectly.
The reason that we're here right now is actually just because it's like summer vacation for Remy's school where we live in Baja. They are off in September because it's hurricane season. So that's something else to inform y'all about. Regular school, I think in Mexico City and other places is a little more similar to the state schedule, right?
Weeks on, weeks off, but it's exactly almost
Like summer is a similar time off.
Yeah.
Like June, July, they go back in August.
Normally Mexico gets in school earlier, but yes.
Yeah. So today's episode, we're actually gonna jump into something, probably the number one question I get, which we'll do in another episode, is like, what does everything cost? I want to know everything. I want to know what you spend at the grocery store, how much it is to go out to eat, how much is rent, how much are utilities. We're going to dive into that. But because it's top of mind and what we've been doing since we've been in Mexico City is a lot of doctor's appointments for my mom, for Francisco.
It's been a medical vacation.
This has not been a vacation. Well, any parent knows that summer is really not a vacation for the parents because you're just doing a lot of parenting, sometimes in a different, prettier location. And I will say the weather in Mexico City really drives me to want to move here because we can wear, it's like sweatshirt weather every day. You could wear whatever you want any given day of the week for the most part.
We said that we have the 3 seasons. We skip the 4th. Winter, normally it doesn't happen. But we have spring, we have summer, and we have fall all year long.
In one day. And it's so true. It's storms. It's beautiful. We all who follow me on social media know how much I just love sharing my passion and how impressed I get at all the different spots in Mexico. But today we're actually going to dive into medical quality, costs, all of that, because we've been dealing with a lot of it. I think it's so interesting because it's such a big deal when it comes to making a decision to move, from a country that you're really familiar with. And I'll be quite honest, as much as I love Mexico, I was really uneasy at first. Because, you go to Mexico or you go abroad for fun, right? For vacation, you're usually lucky enough that you don't have to seek medical treatment, but you move somewhere new and everything's a big shift and different. But different doesn't always mean bad, worse. In many cases, I have found that once I got over the fact that doctor's offices look different, do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like waiting rooms and a lot of doctor's offices tend to look a little bit different.
It's more personable, in my opinion, of course. I feel like you go into a doctor's office and at some point it becomes the extension of your family.
It's almost like you sit at their desk like you're interviewing for a job. Tell me your life story. And because they just want to get to know you first instead of just that clinical light, like sit on a table and examine you out of the gate. So that is interesting for sure, I will say. But since we've been here, Francisco, just diving in a little bit to just like kind of the general, it's been so interesting having a kid, seeing a pediatrician. We take Remy to the dermatologist as well. And, you know, it's so, and an ENT for his ear tubes and ear checkups. And so it's been really interesting to kind of compare quality of care and treatment and cost. And I will just tell you out of the gate, I'm not going to leave you hanging on. Like, I just think that Mexico is superior in many, many ways. I'm sure there's great doctors and specialists in the United States. Obviously, if there's a particular issue, you want to seek out the best hospital in the world, right, to go visit. But I've been really impressed with kind of the quality of care and really the cost, obviously.
I don't know if there's one better than the other. I think they complement each other for sure. Like, there's no clinic like MD Anderson. There is no the Mayo Clinic. Like, all of these are great, but we have such amazing specialists and doctors in Mexico, and they treat you like you're part of their family.
This is what's so interesting to me. Let's just kind of go through piece by piece between, yes, like you said, and I know there's a lot of people that live in small towns. You're fortunate enough to kind of have like a doctor on speed dial or comes to the house because it's very old school. But I do feel in a lot of ways Mexico is old school about a lot of things, you know, especially because of the sense of community and the way like women kind of live and treat their friendships and stuff like that. It does feel a little more old school and less like digital. And it's so funny to me in a way, even though this would probably lead a little more negative in the inconvenient sense that like Fran, for instance, went to a dental appointment. He hasn't been to the dentist in a minute. His tooth was hurting. You know that you needed some work done, right? And he goes to an appointment. They do the x-rays. They do the typical stuff. But then they had him come back the following day or 2 days later to give him a presentation on what the treatment protocol was going to be. When in the States, they would probably just get right to it, or they would like send you an email or a phone call. They had him come in so they could like present what they wanted to do, which to me, I feel like, oh, that can be such a waste of time, especially with the traffic in a city like Mexico City. But that's how they do things. They are very much like kind of family oriented in that way.
Well, it was a procedure, like it was a couple stage situation. So yeah, you were right. Like they take the x-rays, they did a cleaning and all that. And then the day after I met with the doctor, and the doctor showed me the x-rays and showed me exactly what needed to be done and where the stages were and if I was comfortable with it.
Right. And they do similar things to that in the States. It's just that they don't have you come in person just to meet. Like, it's not worth everyone's time. That's all I'm saying. I'm just making a comparison. But what did they quote you for? What did you need done? A couple?
So let's just say I needed 2 root canals and just a normal cavity reader. So just for the root canal.
Say that again in case this helicopter picked up.
So just for the root canal, it was 10,500 pesos, which equates to $478.
Yeah.
For a root canal.
Right.
If I were to go, and the office where I'm going, it's top of the line, like the best technology. They have the porcelain printers, they have all these technologies, the 3D
I think it's important to let everyone know that we're not going to like someone's garage.
That is,
we're not going to
that's
someone's
why
garage.
I'm trying to emphasize this. It's not that I'm going to like the doctor that it's chiseling the freaking like crown. Like, he has all this technology. You enter into the workroom or wherever they start doing all the stuff, and it looks like a spaceship. Like, it has everything there. Like, they have this little machine that does the x-rays where I remember, like, the last time I went to the U.S., it was like
Well, Fran, it's because you haven't been to the dentist in like a decade. So they've made some adjustments and advancements even in the United States. Yeah, and first of all, you're telling our audience you needed 1 root canal and 1 filling. I thought you needed 2 root canals and 7 fillings.
No, it was 2 root canals and a couple fillings. Or 1 filling. But 1 tooth was so damaged that they were trying to salvage it.
Do you feel good about your decision to not go to the dentist very frequently?
So let me tell you that, because I know you're saying in a mocking way, but I had such a bad experience 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
No, I know.
So I had some work done, and throughout the story of my
In Mexico.
in the U.S. And throughout the story of my medical experience, every time that they put anesthesia in my mouth, it does not do. I feel from mild to very severe pain every single time. And this time was painless. Like it was, I told the doctor, this is my issue.
Mm-hmm.
She did magic.
So Fran's sitting with us right now as you're listening to him. He just got back from his, third dental appointment to work on these root canals. So props to you. But yeah, in total, I would say that your dental work is probably like a third or a quarter. I always like to say that things here are like half as much for a lot of stuff like this. But I think with medical, we're experiencing that it's even less than that. I can really only speak, my only medical for now, even though I need to go get a mammogram, is some like vanity medical that I went and had done. I found a great dermatologist in a nice neighborhood here in Mexico City, recommended by Francisco's brother because he's in the dermatology world. And she's a younger dermatologist, but we went and she did some Botox for me and some hyaluronic acid injections under my eyes. And that's not a procedure I've had done before, but I'm really familiar with the cost of this sort of stuff because every 6 or so months I go get Botox in the States. And so I do know. And, at no discount, and I'm driving, I was going to Argyle to get Botox, which if you're not from Dallas, that's like an hour drive or more from Dallas. So I wasn't even getting it at like a top, fancy clinic in, Dallas. But this woman who I trust and love is great. But, my Botox alone was probably $800, $900. And so I know that my treatment in the US for getting what I got done the other day would have been upwards of $1,500 at a minimum. And I was pretty shocked when I went to pay because it was like 8,500 pesos, which is about $437.
Yeah.
So that was really nice, and it was, I say it was great quality. I can give me a minute for it to kick in. I have a little bruise under my eye, but makeup covered it. But anyway, she was wonderful.
But no crawfish.
And do you know what's really, no crow's feet? What'd you call it? Crawfish?
Crawfish.
Crawfish?
Crawfish, like crawfish.
What are you calling it?
Never mind.
I love
Crawfish.
crawfish.
So
I love that. So, but what's interesting about that is a dermatologist was doing the injections, and any of us that get kind of injectables in the States know that a derm is usually never doing injections. They have nurse, estheticians and stuff doing injections, or at med spas. Those aren't doctors. This was a doctor. I mean, she's a dermatologist and she's doing the injections. And how cool is that? So to pay for a derm to do injections like that in the States would be even more money, which is really interesting. But my mom's the one that's had a whole
yeah,
slew
they're getting
of
really
medical
under
work.
the hood.
She's had a lot going on. Hopefully she's okay, but we'll fill you in on some of her medical and kind of our latest updates in our life after we take a quick break. For those of you that have listened or know me for a long time, you probably think I'm this fashionista, but what's funny is I do love clothes. I mean, I'm definitely passionate about fashion, but now that I'm a mom and running a business and I made this whole kind of transition into wanting to slow down in terms of our lifestyle, I don't want to shop as much. And I also want more basics and staples that are elevated that I can kind of mix and match. And so I've been really intentional with my shopping as opposed to how I used to be. That's why I'm so excited to have Daily Look as a new sponsor on the Fitish podcast. Daily Look is the #1 highest rated premium personal styling service for women. And let me break this down for you. So this is what I've already gone through this process. I don't know. I was telling you about this the other day, that I'm really excited to get this box in the mail because you get online and you fill out this questionnaire. Obviously, your body type, but then they also show you images of women and styles, like different styles of clothes, for you to be like, yay, nay, that sort of thing. If you're more traditional or if you're preppy or, you like to dress up and wear dresses more, or I never want to wear skirts or something, right? And so I fill out this whole personal profile and then they send me all of these items for approval. Like, for instance, I'm not a big pattern person. I'll just be honest. Like, I don't love patterns. I don't feel like I can wear them all the time. I like more, certain colors, more neutrals, denim, that sort of thing. So it took all of that into consideration. And then they send you up to 12 premium pieces in a box for you to try on in the comfort of your own home, mix and match, put them together, and then you keep what you like and pay for and send the rest back.
That is so cool and so convenient.
I think it's such a great idea. Well, also because, I'm traveling back and forth for work right now, but I just don't have the time, especially, if you've ever tried to take a toddler to a clothing store and buy yourself some new
A
clothes.
lot more fun.
And you know how it goes with buying stuff online anyway, when you're paying for jeans. I mean, buying jeans online is so difficult, but knowing that they're going to send me stuff in my size range and then I can just try things on and send it back. I'm so excited to get my first box. And I tell you, it took me like 5 minutes to sign up for this. It's so great. It's so affordable. They also have sizes for almost everybody, from an extra small to 3X, 0 to 24. So, you know, their mission is simple. It's just to elevate your style and obviously make it really attainable and effortless. It's time to get your own personal stylist with Daily Look. Head to dailylook.com to take your style quiz and use the code Fitish for 50% off your order. Again, that's dailylook.com and use the code Fitish for 50% off. But make sure you take Fitish in. A, so you get 50% off, and so they know that I sent you 50% off.
That's so good.
Welcome back to the show. Yeah, my mom's had a lot going on, and when we came to Mexico City, knowing that pricing for medical procedures would probably be more affordable than back in the States, she thought it'd be a great idea, since she's blind, basically, to kind of explore some eye procedures that she could get done. And now she's visited, you know, she went to a doctor in Cabo. She went to a doctor in the town that we're living in Baja. She then saw an eye doctor here who recommended her to a specialist here. And we landed on this eye surgery, double eye surgery. She has double vision. It's pretty severe. So she was actually all set for surgery for this coming Friday, but I hope she doesn't mind me sharing some of her medical. But, you know, unfortunately, luckily, I should say, they ran a bunch of tests, an EKG, blood work, because, you know, my mom's almost 70 years old, and she has not actually been under anesthesia for over 20 years. And so, you know, they wanted to run this whole panel for her, and there's been like some conflicting opinions about the results of that. So she's going to see a cardiologist tonight, but every time, she's been such a trooper because she really wants to get her eyes done. But every time, you know, she's going to a lab to get blood work done. She's going to get, you know, she had to get a CT scan on her head this morning, and she's seeing a cardiologist tonight. A physician actually came to the house. I think it's really interesting because she's always rattling off the cost of everything, you know, that she spent on doing all of this. And as someone that, you know, with Medicaid in the United States, you know, you can only see certain doctors. And let's be honest, like a lot of great doctors don't take that sort of government insurance. And so, you know, you're paying out of pocket and on and on and on. So anyway, the doctor quoted her for this double eye surgery, which she knew back in the States was like upwards of $10,000 with no insurance, $2,500 for the procedure. And then with everything, she's kind of had all these other incidental things like going to get blood drawn and having a physician come to the house. Even the CT scan, all of those items were $50 like each, which I know is less, you know, than
That is something that you don't appreciate until you live in the States. But what has happened to your mom is, it's not funny, but kinda, just because it just started downpouring.
Yeah, like she thought she was going to say.
She's like, oh, that's done. And then right now we are in a holding pattern.
Hopefully, I mean, there is that going on right now. Everyone's, to be quite honest, a little bit concerned about like some of her results and some things going on. And some of the doctors have kind of planted a seed of like, we need to make sure she's okay before, you know, she goes under anesthesia, which is great, right? I mean, that actually makes us feel really good about all of it. So, and it doesn't seem to be in a way, you know, where they're just recommending something to put more money in their pocket. It's like actually out of serious concern.
And I just want to pause because this all sounds great and amazing. But if you want to get any medical procedure done, do a thorough research.
Yeah.
Because as we're talking, like the physician that came yesterday is an amazing friend of my parents. Like all of these people we know for ages. But there's a bunch of people that don't have the credentials and appear to have the credentials. So do your research. We don't want you just to dive head first.
Medical tourism is such a thing. You know, you obviously see all those TikToks of women flying back. They'll make TikToks coming and going from Istanbul, you know, to go to Turkey because it's like the hair transplant capital of the world. And they do really good work, but they also, you know, are more affordable. And so men will fly over there and then the plane on the way back, like all the men are like bandaged or have their hair plugs going on, you know, and it's like, wow, what did she call it? She called it hair turkey or what?
Turkish Airlines.
Turkish Hairlines. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, but medical tourism is a huge thing, and you're not on the algorithm, but I see a lot of this kind of being in the skincare space that I'm in that, you know, Korea.
All natural.
A lot of women will actually like fly to, you know, South Korea, don't go north, but South Korea.
natural.
They'll go to South Korea once or twice a year because they say that you can get so many cool treatments done. Botox, all the stuff, lasers, but they'll recommend all this stuff to you at some of these nicer clinics. You like spend the night in a hotel attached to the clinic. You get like a spa day. And they're like, yeah, the plane ticket and the flight, it's far, right? But the cost of everything, it's like still less than just going down and getting, Botox in the corner in the US. So I don't know. I find it all really fascinating and really, it's not until you live somewhere and you're immersed that you really get to experience more of that. And all of the doctors, for the most part, really, yeah, all of the doctors, probably just because of medical school and they lived so many different places, they all speak really good English too, which has obviously been really helpful for my mom. I mean, I don't need it this much. I'm getting really good, Well, that was just like, could not have been more dismissive.
No, I said, yeah, you're getting there.
I'm glad we have, the breakdown of our relationship over the years on camera for the world to see. Yeah.
Everybody can see. We're very transparent with our relationship. It's blooming. But she's right. Like, it's just the touch, the human touch that gets me. It's, of course, the budget portion, it's great. But the dermatologist for my son, for Remy, she gave us her direct number. She's the top dermatologist in the country.
My gynecologist in the States was a fan of mine. Like, she listened to the radio show, and I still could never get her private number. Like, she's been up in this vagina and was like a fan, and I still couldn't get her phone number.
I have it. Let me send it to you.
What?
Her phone number.
No, you don't.
But, like, and yes, the US have all these amazing portals that you go, like, and leave messages, and they answer maybe 2 days later. Here is on it. Like, yes, I came back from the doctor with pain. Take this right away. Like, it's not lag. There's people there, and maybe it's also because things are more affordable, like wedges and stuff like that.
Like what?
Like wedges, like wage, the wage.
Wage, yeah, the wages. Oh, okay.
But they have stuff for everything.
Yeah, you're right. There is stuff for everything here.
Yeah.
I think the service in Mexico in general, not just, medical aside, and we'll dive in another episode to just straight cost of living when it comes to like entertainment and rent and utilities. But there are so many people there just in kind of the service industry, which may not be a surprise, but just something that blew my mind. I mean, one of just the biggest highlights for me in terms of quality of life since we've been spending some time in Mexico City was going to a restaurant. And I was kind of surprised by Fran choosing this particular restaurant the other night because it didn't seem like something that was like totally up his alley. In a nice neighborhood, and it's one of those kind of fogo de chao, but not. I mean, it's like an Argentinian steakhouse. It's called Rincon Argentino.
Yeah.
And so we go in, and I'm like, why is he bringing us here? Like, first of all, it was like rainy and early, and it just didn't seem like somewhere a friend would want to go eat. And then when they set us at our table, it all came together. Through the glass, there was this insane Pirates of the Caribbean kind of style, like a ship and, rope walks, tight walks, and ropes that were like bouncy and stuffed like octopus and fish, like almost this huge play jam. But it looked really elevated and cool. That our table set there, and then Fran takes Remy to play, and I thought he was just taking him into the play area, and then Fran comes back without Remy, and I was like, where is our child? He goes, oh, he's in there playing. I go, he's in there alone? And he goes, no, he's in there with the babysitters. I go, what babysitters? What are you talking about? We don't have a babysitter. We don't have like a full-time nanny on staff. What's happening? He goes, no, a lot of these restaurants in Mexico City, these larger, like more established ones that have been here for a while, there were 3, by the way, young girls, and you sign a waiver, and you can still see your child, and then all of a sudden I look up, and I'm like eating a piece of bread, and I see Remy holding some young girl's hand, walking the tightrope from the pirate ship, laughing, like he's just having the best time. Parents, how amazing it is, even if you get 20 minutes to like have your glass of wine and eat and know that your kid is safe and your kid's actually enjoying themselves as well. You're not just plopping them in a chair with some screen time, because let's be honest, we all do that from time to time just so you can have that like moment of peace and enjoy your meal that you're paying for. It just blew my mind. And there's so many things like that here that I encounter that are just mind blowing, that we'll dive into, especially when it comes to like housing and looking at places to live.
I do believe that Mexico is very European in the way, and I think that's something I've been craving as a born and raised Mexico City fella, is we focus in quality of life.
Yeah.
Like, we work to live. We don't live to work.
Yeah.
And this is the little things, the little oasis. We make sure that our hospitality, I can say our hospitality is like no other. People will wait on you hand and foot, and you will have a great experience. Mostly, of course, there's exceptions, but
Okay, let's do our highs and lows before we wrap up today. Our highs and lows of the week. Do you have, you can go high or low. Why don't you just pick one?
I'm high.
Yeah. What is, oh, you are actually high right now.
No, I'm not high right now. Not yet. Couple hours. My high is it's a very selfish high, you know?
Fine.
I have my tooth fixed.
Oh, I'm so glad. Good for you. I'm proud of you. Yeah. I see it's like whiter than the other.
Yeah, I know. And they need to fix the
that.
other ones.
Yeah. Okay, you got your tooth fixed. That's great. Okay, do you have a low?
No, that's you. You're the low. No, you're gonna tell us you're low.
I'm the low?
No, you're not the low. Yeah, I thought I was about to say the high, and you were about to say you're low.
Where do I get the negative one? I mean, I can do both. I can do both high and low.
Okay, I'm gonna say my low.
I'll say my low.
Say your low. I'll say my low also.
You save it. You save your low.
Wait, low.
Your low's right here. Your low's right here.
No, that's the high.
No, don't squeeze this one. It hurts. I need to go to the doctor. I don't know why. My boob's been like a burning sensation. But
When?
that's for another show. What do you mean when? I tell you about it all the time.
Yes, and they do it right in the corner here. I'm gonna take you after we wrap up.
Okay.
To get your chichi squeeze. A mammogram.
My chi-chi squeeze. Y'all heard it here. That's what they call it. A chi-chi squeeze, and costs you
Chichi squeezing sound.
cost you 100 pesos. Let me see. Okay, so you know what my low is I have been, it's no different than maybe I've expressed this before. I would say my low is, I don't want to call it homesickness, because I see creators online when they move abroad talk about homesickness. This particular time of year though, y'all, the fall, like the football, the pumpkin patches, the weather, the leaves, the Halloween, like even though we don't always get that where I was living in Texas, but just, you know, the whole vibe of fall in general and the ability to nest. I am so craving nesting. And I think part of moving abroad is, you know, I still wouldn't change it. I think you have to be very careful about complaining, because people go, oh, you know, there's great holidays in Mexico. Well, obviously, I mean, I'm so excited to have my first Dios de los Muertos here. Like, I'm really excited about Day of the Dead and showing that to Remy, but I love this period of time between like mid-September and Christmas. And so it's definitely a little bit of a struggle, even though I'm so glad I get this kind of fall weather here. But I'm just craving, you know, my Halloween decorations are in a storage unit. I'm trying to finagle. How can I get those decorations down here? Because I just want to nest a little bit. And I think that's something when it comes to this adventure and us kind of hopping around, we're really looking to find some more stability about where we live. Because I think both you and I have recognized that we're both kind of equally missing that, and you're missing it even more than you thought you would, probably just having our own stuff. I think it's like all fun and games for a minute, but when you're living in other people's homes, at some point you start to go, oh, I just wish I had my own couch that had stains on it from my own child, that he can break stuff and I don't have to worry about it.
It sounds amazing to have to rent a house that it's furnished.
Until you're in it for a while.
Until you're in it for a while, it's like, oh man. Like it's that conscious thing that is like, oh, it's not my stuff, you know?
Yeah. So it's been great because you don't buy stuff for the house or things that you don't need. But that's been my low for sure, is just kind of those moments of like, oh, I do miss our house. And I think it's important to note that to y'all. You know, I miss the location? Do I miss, you know, the mortgage? No. But, you know, I do miss just having my own things, because I am such a homebody at heart, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. But it's been really nice to be in Mexico City in your parents' house and feel really energized here. It's such a cool city. So I'll work on a list of recs for y'all. But coming up for the next, few weeks, we're actually, we took a couple weeks off. I appreciate your patience. And we're actually going to go, week after week here on, probably through the holidays and with no breaks. And we're going to tackle all sorts of different topics. So if there's anything you're really most interested in hearing us speak about in detail, we're going to get there. But we're going to tackle, school and actual logistics of moving and legalities and remote work or working here. We're going to get through, transportation. We're going to tackle everything. So I hope you find it interesting, and we'll see y'all next week.
See you soon.